Greetings and welcome to another edition of The Great Goddess. Praise be to Goddess. Praise be to Goddess. Well, here it is, another Wednesday, and today's subject that I had for you is forks over knives. And I just want to begin by saying today is the first day of purification. You should start your purification diet today. And it's a vegan diet. And during the day, avoid eating grains. So, Forks Over Knives, what is it and when did I see it? Well, it's a documentary. It's a book. And it's a series. So, Forks Over Knives basically is about the power of eating a plant-based diet. And they use plant-based as opposed to vegan because vegan is sort of strict and has more of a moral basis, belief system that it's wrong to harm animals, so that you shouldn't eat animals. So that's vegan. Whereas plant-based implies you might cheat occasionally or have animal foods occasionally, but most of the time, like 99% of the time, you're eating plants and plants only. So that's what plant-based means. And a plant-based diet is supposed to be a healthier diet. So for purification, you are getting a healthier diet and better quality nutrition than you would ordinarily. And it's good for purifying the body. As I've said before, it clears toxins out of your internal organs that might have accumulated, like heavy metals and pesticides and waste products like that. Your body can eliminate them more easily on a vegan diet. So plant-based is really healthy. And as you know, animal products putrefy in the gut, so they can cause colon cancer. And we want to avoid colon cancer. My grandmother had colon cancer, so it runs in the family, and her sister had colon cancer. So it runs in the family, and it's something I want to avoid if at all possible. So plant-based eating. What does Forks Over Knives recommend? Well, they recommend that you get greens in your diet. Greens, beans, and grains. And vegetables. Lots and lots of vegetables. And eliminate things like red meat, poultry, fish, dairy, eggs, all the baddies, all the animal foods that are can stimulate cancer growth and can stimulate heart disease. So heart disease and cancer, the two big killers of our time, and a few other things like erectile dysfunction, can be eliminated by going plant-based. So plant-based is really positive. And in the movie, if you haven't seen it yet, there's Dr. Neal Barnard. There's Dr. Caldwell Esselstyn. I've already done a video on the Esselstyns. And his wife Anne and his son Rip also star in the movie. Unfortunately, Jane is not in the movie. But we already know Jane, so that's all right that she wasn't in the movie. But also a Dr. Campbell, who I wasn't familiar with before, also starred in the movie. And he and Dr. Esselstyn met each other a few years ago, and they're quite good friends. And they recommend a plant-based diet for all that ails us. It's a modern cure. So, plant-based eating, very positive. It can have an impact on the environment too. They talked about the environmental problems that accompany meat eating and what it's doing to our environment, and how the rainforests are being clear cut to raise cattle. So that is not desirable. We do not want that. We do not want the rainforests cleared for cattle feed and cattle space. We want to preserve the natural environment however possible. And climate change is part of that, because we're using 10 times more fossil fuels for producing meat than we would to produce plants. 10 times. So it's and it produces half of all pollution. So it's a major contributor to climate change. And look at what's happened this winter. First it was really warm, then it was freezing cold, and now there's record snow. So 3 records in 1 year, and totally erratic weather. And that's what happens with climate change. It's totally erratic weather, and it's only going to get worse from here on out. Climate change will only get worse. The real question is, how much worse? And how much more can the natural environment take before everything collapses, before the ecosystem collapses, and before humans collapse as well? So the environmental aspect of it, the health aspect of it, is covered in the movie. They don't go into the moral aspects of it, like whether it's good for animals to be eaten, or whether you really want to eat an animal. They don't really cover that. They mention an animal sanctuary once in the movie, and a guy said he just didn't really want to eat animals, but that was about as far as they went. But eating vegan is good for the animals, because if you make a commitment not to eat animals and not to exploit animals for food and not to harm animals, then it becomes much more meaningful. And that's what I recommend to you. Think about the animals and whether you love animals and what you would do for an animal that you love. And then do that for any animal, not just discriminate against certain kinds of animals. So that's it. Obviously there's a question of pests. Mice can be trapped with humane traps and taken away. Other kinds of pests, like insect pests, are harder to deal with. If you want to spare lots of insects, eat organic, because pesticides kill insects, and you spare their lives if you eat organic. But most of all, eating organic is good for the honeybees. And the honeybees are positive. We want honeybees, and we want them to fertilize our crops. So we don't want a whole lot of pesticides, because it harms honeybees. And it harms natural pollinators as well, natural bees. So we want to eat organic whenever possible. I understand that it's not possible to always eat organic, but eat organic whenever possible and go vegan. And that's what we're doing for purification. We are clearing out our bodies, so we want to eat as clean as possible. And I'll get into purification, but I just want to say Forks Over Knives is a great movie. If you haven't seen it, go ahead and go see it. And it's safe. There's nothing really scary in the movie, like some of the movies out there. It's just clean eating and all about your health. And they do show open heart surgery. That's about as graphic as the movie gets, but nobody dies in the movie, and there's no animals being slaughtered in the movie. So Forks Over Knives is a great place to start if you're a little intimidated by mainstream veganism. It's a great place to start, because there's not a lot of animal suffering or human suffering in the movie. Like one of the doctors in the movie said, isn't open heart surgery extreme? Isn't that an extreme way of living? they call veganism extreme, but open heart surgery is even more extreme. They take a vein out of your leg and insert it into your heart. That's very extreme. So we don't want that. Now, as to purification, I have a few tips. I have some tips for purification for you. Avoid grains during the day because they're constipating. That's the only reason for avoiding grains. They're constipating and they turn to paste in your gut. So avoid grains during the day. At night you can have grains if you choose. Okay, if you want purification to go faster, you can avoid the grains at night too. But only during the day. That's the only requirement, is that you avoid grains during the day so that you can purify your gut. And the purpose of purification is to get healthier. It can possibly help with some forms of cancer, not advanced cancer, but prevention of cancer from growing. Because you're cleaning out your gut, it helps help avoid colon cancer. And it purifies the liver too, so maybe even liver cancer too. So you're purifying your body, and you're eating lots of vegetables, lots of fruit. And oh yeah, here's another tip. You can have yonanas as long as there's no dairy or grains. So go ahead and have yonanas made with bananas and strawberries and peaches and berries and whatever else you want to throw into the yonanas machine, as long as it's all fruit or vegetables and no grains and no dairy. As long as it's that, you can have it. And also, if you want to make a smoothie, just cut bananas into slices and put the slices in a bag and put them in the freezer and freeze them. That's one tip. Because the smaller pieces are easily ground up by your blender. You won't be breaking your blender blade if you cut the bananas up into small chunks. And also you want frozen fruit to make it frostier and creamier. And it just tastes better when you freeze the fruit first. So you take like a NutriBullet or a Ninja or a blender, and you put in the fruit you're going to use. I wouldn't put in more than 3 cups at a time. You can make more, but you only want to use 3 cups at a time because you don't want to break your blender. And then you fill it with almond milk or soy milk with 1 inch above the fruit. And that gives it enough liquid to blend it properly. So that's another tip. How to make smoothies. You can, if you want to try yonanas, you can get a yonanas machine for purification, and if you like yonanas, you can keep it. I have a yonanas machine, and I've enjoyed it since I've had it, so it's a good investment. Hope you enjoy the process of purification. I hope it's not too restrictive for you or too... And I'm not trying to restrict you. I'm not trying to impose arbitrary laws on you. It's all about purifying your body in preparation for the Festival of the Maiden. That's all it is. So, and it's also good for your health. So I want my viewers to be healthy. I want my viewers to be healthy. So, purification once a year, a very good idea, cleans out your gut. Even if you're a meat eater ordinarily, I recommend going vegan for purification because it clears out your gut really fast, in fact. When I went vegan just last year, it cleaned me out when I first started it. It was a purifying diet. So it's real simple. Fruits, vegetables, beans, and lentils. That's what you can have during the day. And at night you can have grains and margarine that's vegan or whatever else you want. But during the day, avoid things like margarine or oil. Margarine, oil, grains. Avoid those during the day because you don't want anything either putrefying in your gut or slowing down your digestion. You want to eat clean so that you can clean out your gut. And this is very healthy. It's very healthy for you to clean out your gut because the first time I purified my gut, I did a real cleanse. I used psyllium husk. You can get psyllium husk or ground psyllium seed at a health food store and mix it with water, and it cleans out your gut like crazy. It just clears you out. Another thing you can use is bentonite clay. Now you want to be careful with bentonite clay. If you use it, don't use a lot. Just a little bit goes a long way. And so you can use a 1/4 teaspoon of bentonite clay with the psyllium husk and drink that. But you want to get plenty of fluids. That's another tip. Plenty of water, and juice is okay too. So water or juice during the day. And you're allowed to have almond milk or soy milk. And you're allowed to have tofu, and you're allowed to have beans and vegetables. So you can think about this kind of things you can put in your smoothie or your soups. You want to keep it mostly smoothies or soups. You don't want to have big chunks of things. You can have big chunks if you really want to. Like you can eat apples. But most things you want pureed so that they're easy to digest. You want easily digested things. And psyllium husk is great for cleaning you out if you can have it. It latches on and takes away any gunk that's in your gut. The first time I used it, there were like little pieces of black stuff that had accumulated in my gut, and I was very young. So at the time I was young. So it can happen to anybody. Anybody can have black stuff sitting in their gut putrefying. It makes them sick and can cause colon cancer down the road. So the first time you do purification, you may experience some bowel issues, but you shouldn't have diarrhea or anything from it. It doesn't cause diarrhea. If you do have diarrhea, that's unusual. It might be because of an imbalance of your gut bacteria. So then you might want to add probiotic. Just look for probiotics with billions of bacteria at your health food store. So that's it. Purification. Get plenty of fluids, plenty of juice, plenty of fruits and vegetables, and beans and lentils. And you can have tofu. I wouldn't have baked tofu during the day. I would save that for dinner. Also, nutritional yeast I would save for dinner. I wouldn't have that during the day because too much protein. Protein does tend to putrefy, so you don't want to have anything with not a lot of fiber. They take all the fiber out of tofu. You can have it in a smoothie if you want to, but keep the amount small and nothing baked or fried. So you don't want fried foods during the day. You can have fried foods at night because you only eat once a night, whereas during the day you eat 2 or 3 times. You know, there's breakfast and lunch and a snack during the day. And we wait 15 minutes before sunrise to 15 minutes after sunset. So that's it. Hope you enjoyed purification. Hope it goes well for you. And I'll see you next time.